So if you've been having trouble with your backhand, I've got some ideas for you today. We're going to be looking at a number of shots. I'm going to be helping you to fix that backhand. What we're going to start with here is a basic backhand ground stroke. I want you to start here. Don't want you to start with the fancy stuff, but I want you to do a basic ground stroke. Here's the problem. Here's what people mess up on, is they try to do a ground stroke maybe on a return or something, and they do something like this, right? So they reach over to their side and they go like that. Many problems with that. First of all, there's no footwork. We have to start with footwork. I want you to notice the difference between me doing this and then doing this. Do you notice the difference? There's a massive difference between going like this and then turning and going like this. You have no room. Look, my arm has no room to get back here at all. So I have no power, and I'm likely to miss-hit the ball because things are awkward. My chest is in the way. Whereas with our forehand, look at all the room that we have over here. It's ridiculous. So to give us that same luxury that we have on our forehand, let's just turn our feet to the side before we take that stroke. Now, this is for ground stroke. Stuff at the net is very different. So when you're starting a basic backhand ground stroke, pivot with your non-dominant foot. Lefties, just do the opposite here. Pivot and then turn with your dominant. And that is it. Let me kind of scoot up here. Pivot, turn. And what this does is it gets the chest out of the way so that our backhand can actually do some stuff. The stroke is really simple. You can go very advanced with this stuff, but just keep it simple. We're gonna turn and then take your paddle back, whatever's comfortable for you, and then push your paddle forward. Your goal when you finish up here is to not see the top of your paddle, all right? So you see how I can see it, right? But I don't want that. I don't want to see the top of my paddle. This is what's gonna help you to push the ball to create more of a flat shot so that you get some consistency. We don't want to be deflecting any shots. So I'm going to hit some shots to Ryan here to show you what this looks like. So Ryan's just going to feed me some casual little shots here. You can do this as well to practice. Turn, push the ball forward. Look at that. You see that? I can't see the top of my paddle. That's the most important thing with this basic ground stroke, like that. And you don't even have to hit it very hard. Your goal is to get it over the net. Turn, push. Okay? Turn, push. Now, as you saw on that one, it was a little bit to my side. That's okay. Just take a little bit more of a step and then push the paddle forward. Okay? Turn. Sometimes as well, what will happen is you'll have to turn, like you still turn, but you kind of have to step backwards a little bit. That's totally fine. Now, to amp up the power a little bit, what you can do is when you're coming through, you don't necessarily have to swing harder, but you can kind of get the elbow and the wrist a little bit more involved here. Okay, oops. Okay, so you notice how there was a whip right there at the very end. That's more advanced. That's just for funsies. Don't do that at first, okay? Again, just want to stab the ball like that. To do more advanced, like that. And I'm really accelerating through the shot on that advanced version. Now, the drop. The drop is the exact same thing we just did. We just can't hit it as hard. So let's do a backhand drop now. Turn, same deal. I'm just finishing a little bit shorter. Now, on a drop, what you might notice, you may actually see the top of your paddle because you're not swinging through all the way and you're not pushing through all the way. So that's okay. We just want to mimic that same shot that you did with the ground stroke, just a little bit abbreviated. That's it. Oh yeah, and just try to keep it simple. We're talking shoulder motion here, guys. Not a lot of elbow, not a lot of, in fact, hardly any wrist at all, let's be frank. But just keep it nice and abbreviated. I love doing this, so much fun. You know what? Start with that ground stroke, like I said. Once you start practicing that general ground stroke, all of this other stuff ahead of time becomes so much easier. Nice. Notice how I'm just stopping right out in front of me. Okay, let me give you a better angle. All right, so turn, abbreviated stroke. Turn. Woo. Nice. Oops. Backhand cross-court thirds are the exact same thing, but because it's a diagonal now, you have to hit it a little bit harder, okay? So, but again, turn and then strike through the ball. Turn, turn, turn. You notice how my backhand has so much room, guys. It has so much room because I'm stepping to the side. I'm closing off my stance so that my backhand actually has room. Oh, of course I missed that. Cross-court dinking. A little bit of similarities here from the ground stroke, but the footwork's gonna be a little bit different. In terms of footwork, there's a couple of things going on here. So we're gonna dink back and forth, cross-court, okay? Every single time I hit a dink, I'm gonna be coming back up to the kitchen line, like this, okay? Really important. The footwork, oftentimes when it comes to your non-dominant foot, it's going to be a lunge to the side. This is where you're going to see the vast majority of your footwork. The only time you're going to cross over is if you get a ball that's in front of you that's going outside. So like typically outside the sideline. That footwork is this. It's a step and then a step like that. Okay. I'm going to show you both here, but again, this is the most important thing to understand. So that's the footwork. Now, Ryan's going to hit some sharp angles on me here. I'm going to show you. That is the footwork there. So you saw the difference. Because look, if a ball is way out in front of me like that, I can't step to the side and then reach out in front of me. That's not going to work. So what you have to do is pivot and then turn so that your forearm, your shoulder here is now what's in front. So it's hovering over the kitchen line basically, and you can reach a lot further. Okay, see how that works. So again, in terms of the stroke, a lot of it is the exact same thing. We're still going to be doing that pushy motion, but here is where you're going to start to use slices a lot more often. So when you step over here, the motion is you come up like this and then you come straight across like that. And it's almost like your paddle and your arm create a 90-degree angle like this. And you just come straight down across, okay? Like that. And it puts a lot of spin on the ball. If you've never done a stroke like that before, believe me, it takes a long time to get used to. Be patient with yourself. This is why I typically recommend to just push the paddle like that instead. That push motion that we did with the ground strokes is still effective. The slice just makes it a little bit more difficult for people. But in general, don't think that cross-court dinking has to be a lot different than a ground stroke. It's really not. The same fundamental principles are there. It's just that the footwork is oftentimes very different. One thing that a lot of people learn when they start pickleball for the first time is the punch volley. A great shot, and even at very advanced levels, still a great shot. However, a lot of you are probably wanting to learn the backhand volley roll, right? It's a really good shot. You get topspin on it. Let me kind of just show you what it looks like for now. Okay, notice the stroke. The stroke is you come down and you come up. I want to give you a visual for this. Imagine you're in an empty garage. You're facing your garage door, but you're inside the garage, okay, it's empty. You push the button, put your paddle out in front of you. This is the garage door. What happens to the door? It comes from the bottom and it goes up and over your head, depending on what kind of garage door you have, okay? But it comes up and then over your head like that, right? Because if you're standing in the middle of the garage, the door is going to come up over your head, right? That's the stroke. It's down and then up like this. That's the basic method here. That's the basic mechanic. Start there. And what you can do actually is get yourself a ball, and you can practice this by yourself by sitting here. That's not going to be realistic, okay? But you can at least just sit here and practice that. Be warned though, when you do this, the ball is going to go really low because there's no trajectory on the ball. There's no force coming into your paddle. So then get someone else at the baseline, okay, and practice. You see that? Practice this stroke. Just come straight up with your backhand like that. You see that? Now that squat is really, really important. That's the next thing. There is footwork with this as well. You have to squat. It's absolutely essential, because if you don't, then you're not going to be able to get underneath the ball. You're just going to attack it from the top and it's going to go into the net. Okay, so like that. Notice, see, my paddle is on top of my head. Now, take that to the next level. You want to whip with your wrists a little bit. You don't exactly have to do this, but it's really, really fun, and you get a lot of power on the ball. Okay, let me show it to you from a different angle. All right, so watch it from this angle instead. Here's the other thing. I want you to notice what I just did there. If it's high enough, don't do the top spinny rolly thing. Just slap the ball out of the air. Oh. Oops. Oh, sorry. Start with that ground stroke. Really, really important. Don't start with those roll volleys and the dinking and stuff. Start with the ground stroke and then work your way up. Focus on your footwork, please. I promise you, when you start to focus on your footwork, a lot of things will change. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.